The news from Guyana, the region and the world. Compiled in the News Talk Radio newsroom and powered by DemeraraWaves.com.
The news comes to you with the compliments of Eureka Medical Laboratories. With the news at this time, I am Deanna Jordan. A very good morning to you. To begin the news, here is a look at the lead stories. Locally, Executive Member of the People's National Congress Reform, Aubrey Norton, says he will focus on business training of supporters and the generation of wealth for his party. More pregnant women are contracting COVID-19. In regional news, Britain's Prince Charles has acknowledged the appalling impact of slavery as Barbados becomes a republic. And internationally, more than 100 former police and intelligence operatives have either been killed or disappeared in Afghanistan. The details of these and other stories will be coming up right here in just a moment.
A COVID-19 PCR test is now mandatory for many routine activities, including travel and return to work purposes. At Eureka, our trained and experienced staff will ensure confidentiality while your test is conducted in a professional and timely manner, with results in just 48 hours. So the next time you require an efficient and hassle-free PCR COVID-19 test, call 624-8378, 608-8378, or 623-7233 to schedule your appointment. You can also ask about our house call testing service.
And now the news in detail. Leader nominee of the People's National Congress Reform, PNCR, Aubrey Norton, is promising to train party members how to manage money.
As a party, we are going to train our members across this country. We are going to train them politically. We'll train them in terms of leadership. We will train them in terms of management. We will train them in terms of local government. But most importantly, we intend to train them in financial literacy and small business development. One of the things I want to see this party do is to focus more on making our support base employers rather than employees.
His promises come on the heels of criticisms by the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport that there are no black role models for young black Guyanese, especially in the generation of wealth. He also told party faithful in Linden that if he is elected to lead the PNCR, he will spearhead the use of party property to generate wealth.
This party has a lot of assets, but we wake up and sell, rather than taking those assets and put them to earn income. Under the leadership of Aubrey Norton and team, our party assets will be transformed into income-earning assets.
Mr. Norton's main rival for the leadership of the PNCR, Joseph Harmon, has similarly promised to make their party businesslike. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony says there is a growing number of pregnant women who are infected with the coronavirus COVID-19. In his latest update, he said the majority of the pregnant women are hospitalized at the Infectious Disease Hospital at Liliendal, Greater Georgetown.
The point here is that the majority of the patients that we have at the Ocean View Hospital now are because they're pregnant and they're positive for COVID. And most of these patients are not vaccinated. So again, I think it's important that pregnant women get their vaccination. It doesn't matter which trimester, but they need to get their vaccination. The vaccines are safe during pregnancy. It does not affect the mother nor the child. So that's something that we're encouraging mothers to make sure that they get their vaccines.
He explains that of the 43 patients at the Ocean View Infectious Disease Hospital, 28 are pregnant. 4 of them, he says, were admitted there within the past 24 hours. The health minister, meanwhile, says nationally 66 persons are hospitalized with COVID, 15 are very sick and are receiving intensive care. President Irfan Ali is appealing to Guyanese to get vaccinated against the coronavirus COVID-19 in the wake of a new variant. Scientists are studying the implications of the new variant Omicron and whether it is resistant to existing vaccines. But Dr. Ali says Guyanese should ensure they are protected as far as possible.
There is only one way we can be ahead of fighting this pandemic. That is to be vaccinated. Those who are qualified for the booster, make that decision. Take the booster. This is our only chance of fighting off and being aggressively ahead of the impact of any variants on our country. So my short answer to the many queries that I'm having, get vaccinated. Once you're in the category for booster, get your booster.
President Irfan Ali. 2 men from West Coast Demerara are facing charges of electricity theft. Police say they found a quantity of electrical wires and 2 electricity meters at a house at Jaluzi Village. Investigators say the suspect was questioned about having GPL properties in his possession, but he did not give any reasonable explanation. He was immediately arrested. Police say another man was arrested at Cornelia Ida Village after police found GPL wires and a meter on his premises. Both suspects were placed into custody for the offense of illegal diversion of electricity. And now in regional news. Britain's Prince Charles has acknowledged the impact of slavery on Barbados. He was early this morning speaking at an elaborate ceremony for the transitioning of Barbados to a republic, which means that the Queen is no longer head of state of that independent state.
From the darkest days of our past and the appalling atrocity of slavery, which forever stains our history, the people of this island forged their path with extraordinary fortitude. Emancipation, self-government, and independence were your waypoints. Freedom, justice, and self-determination have been your guides. Your long journey has brought you to this moment, not as your destination, but as a vantage point from which to survey a new horizon.
Prince Charles, however, says that Britain and Barbados will continue to share one space, the 54-nation Commonwealth of former British colonies.
Madam President, as your constitutional status changes, it was important to me that I should join you to reaffirm those things which do not change. For example, that the close and trusted partnership between Barbados and the United Kingdom as vital members of the Commonwealth, our common determination to defend the values we both cherish and to pursue the goals we share.
Barbados's President Sandra Mason, who was up to yesterday Governor General, told the gathering in her inauguration speech that Barbados has come of age.
Some were understandably fearful of how our inexperienced crews and passengers would navigate storm-tossed international waters. A sense of uncertainty surrounded the viability of our social experience and our economic well-being. Others voiced grave reservations about where our small bark would end up. But even in the face of the uncertainties and the unknown, we set aside our doubts and fears, and with hope in our bosoms, we committed to the journey, embracing the vision of a proud, strong, hard-working people, and we sailed forward.
And Barbados' Prime Minister Amor Motley announced that world-acclaimed singer Robin Rihanna Fenty is now a national hero.
My government has the distinct honor of recommending to the President, who has kindly and graciously accepted, that Ambassador Robin Rihanna Fenty tomorrow morning shall have conferred upon her the Order of National Hero of Barbados.
Rihanna's mother is Guyanese, and she is the niece of local cultural icon Alan Fenty. France is ready to talk about autonomy for the Franco-Caribbean territory of Guadeloupe if it is in the interest of the people living there. This is according to the Minister of France's Overseas Territories, Sébastien Lecornu. Guadeloupe and the nearby French island of Martinique have faced several days of protest against COVID-19 measures that have turned into violence. Lecornu says that certain elected officials in Guadeloupe had raised the issue of autonomy, changing its status as an overseas region. He says the French government is ready to open talks that will solve the real, everyday problems of the people of Guadeloupe. That was one of a series of initiatives he said the Paris government would take in Guadeloupe. Other areas include healthcare improvements, infrastructure projects, and a plan to create jobs for young people. The French government announced this week that it would postpone requiring public sector workers in Guadeloupe and Martinique to receive a COVID-19 vaccination. The obligation had sparked protest and fueled long-standing grievances about living standards and relations with Paris. In Guadeloupe, there is a historic distrust of the French government's handling of health crisis after many people were exposed to toxic pesticides used on banana plantations in the 1970s. In Suriname, there is a call for an independent investigation into the massacre of at least 39 persons in the Maroon village of Moiwana. The call has been issued by the Moiwana Community Development Fund and the December 8, 1982 Foundation. 35 years ago today, they were killed during a coordinated military operation by the National Army led by then military commander Desi Bouterse. Mr. Bouterse, who is a former military leader and former democratically elected president, has already been found guilty of the murder of 15 prominent persons in 1982. The call for an independent inquiry into the Moiwana massacre, the organization say, is aimed at ensuring that there is justice and that the human rights violators do not escape punishment. And now for the international news, the latest coming from the BBC World Service.
Hello, I'm Moira Alderson with the BBC News. President Sandra Mason of Barbados has hailed her island's transition to a republic. In her inauguration speech, she said Barbados had set sail on her maiden voyage and would need to navigate a complex and turbulent world. At a handover ceremony in the capital, Bridgetown, Britain's Prince Charles acknowledged that the atrocity of slavery on the island had stained Britain's history. Celestina Olulodi is in Bridgetown.
What a lot of people have told me is they want to talk about reparations. Barbados, of course, is part of CARICOM, and the Prime Minister has said that, look, this is something that needs to be addressed, because when slavery ended, the people that owned slaves were compensated but the enslaved Africans themselves and their descendants weren't.
Human Rights Watch says Taliban forces in Afghanistan have either killed or forcibly disappeared more than 100 former police and intelligence officers since the August takeover. Secunda Kamani reports from Kabul.
Former members of the security forces were meant to obtain letters of forgiveness, but Human Rights Watch says at times the Taliban used these opportunities to detain and kill some of them. On other occasions, the Taliban used access to employment records to launch raids on their homes. It's certainly not the case that every former soldier or policeman has been targeted. Some of the incidents appear to be linked to local or personal rivalries, where individuals had allegedly mistreated Taliban members, for example.
The Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki says NATO should offer more help to reduce Russia's and Belarus's potential to threaten regional stability. He was speaking ahead of a meeting of NATO foreign ministers.
We should collectively work towards different options, how to de-escalate this, how to deal with those risks, and what to do to actually diminish the power of Mr. Lukashenko, Mr. Putin, to destabilize this part of the world, Europe in particular.
A review of workplace culture in Australia has found more than a quarter of those working in federal parliamentary offices have been sexually harassed by an MP. Shaima Khalil reports from Sydney.
The review found that more than half of Australia's parliament workers experienced at least one incident of bullying, sexual harassment, or actual or attempted sexual assault. It also found that more than a quarter said they'd been sexually harassed by an MP. The Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, said the findings were appalling and disturbing, and that he wished he found them more surprising. The Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Kate Jenkins, who carried out the review, said that while men and women spoke of their experiences, the harassment and bullying were disproportionately aimed at female staff and MPs.
World News from the BBC. The chief executive of the US pharmaceutical firm Moderna has warned that current COVID vaccines are unlikely to be as effective against the Omicron variant as they have been against the Delta type. Stefan Bancel said it was unclear to what extent the effectiveness would drop, but he said all the scientists he'd talked to had suggested it was not going to be good. European markets have reacted nervously to the interview, with major indices falling after opening. Crown Prince Akishino of Japan has criticised the media for its reporting on his daughter Princess Mako's engagement and marriage to a commoner last month. More from Celia Hatton.
Speaking with uncharacteristic bluntness, Crown Prince Akishino, the younger brother of Japan's emperor, said the royal family must be able to refute lies or extreme attacks repeated in the media. Princess Mako's marriage was delayed for 3 years due to public concerns regarding her then-fiancé's financial situation. The Crown Prince said the scandal regarding his now son-in-law's family loans had not been adequately explained, adding that he was the one who decided to forego all wedding ceremonies. Though the first in line to the throne acknowledged that some magazines included opinions that were worth listening to, he said some social media comments on his daughter's marriage were horrible and had deeply hurt some people.
NASA has delayed a planned spacewalk by 2 of its astronauts because of debris in the area. The astronauts were due to replace a faulty communications antenna on the International Space Station, a job that was going to be broadcast live. It's not clear where the debris is coming from, but a recent Russian anti-satellite missile test resulted in a swarm of debris. The risk concerns any debris with the potential to pierce the spacesuits or the space station itself. That's the latest world news from the BBC.
The news came to you with the compliments of Eureka Medical Laboratories.
Don't let the fear of contracting the coronavirus disease deter you from seeking the medical care you need. At Eureka Labs, we ensure the safety of our clients and staff with our rigid sanitization routine. This involves the use of ultraviolet lights to effectively rid the air and all surfaces of viruses and bacteria that may be present throughout the lab daily. The light works to rapidly inactivate microorganisms through a physical process that is invisible to human eye. So the next time you need a checkup, don't hesitate to give us a call on 225-7574 to schedule your appointment.
And now to end the news, here is a recap of the leads. Executive member of the People's National Congress Reform, Aubrey Norton, says he will focus on business training of supporters and the generation of wealth for his party. More pregnant women are contracting COVID-19. In regional news, globally recognized singer Rihanna has been declared a national hero of her native Barbados. And internationally, more than 100 former police and intelligence operatives have either been killed or disappeared in Afghanistan. And that's the end of the news.
This has been the news, compiled in the News Talk Radio Newsroom. For ongoing updates, visit demerarawaves.com, and you can check facebook.com/demwaves and twitter.com/demwaves. Here is an unbelievable offer from News Talk Radio Guyana 103.1 FM. You can send season's greetings December 24, 25, 26 and 27, and Happy New Year's greetings December 31 and January 1, 6 times each day, plus streaming of your image on Facebook on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, plus a 5-minute live broadcast from your firm. All this for just $20,000 or 4 times each day for $15,000. Call 614-8205 or 692-9400 for details and say season's greetings through 103.1 FM.